27th year, the PBA Tour visits the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. We are here for the PBA Days Inn Open from Don Carter's All-Star Lanes. 5 bowlers continuing the march to the World Championship. Now let's meet our 5 finalists from Dallas, Texas, with 4 second-place finishes this season. Ranked 3rd in the PBA World Rankings, Chris Barnes. He makes his second TV appearance in as many weeks. A Hall of Famer with 28 career titles from St. Ann, Missouri near St. Louis, Pete Weber. This man has stars in his eyes when he comes to Texas with 4 of his 7 career wins. Coming in the Lone Star State from Seattle, Washington, Hugh Miller. From Jackson, New Jersey, a 2-time PBA Player of the Year with 29 career wins, over $2 million in career earnings, Parker Bohn III. And making his 4th career telecast, looking for his first career win, the pride of Bedford, Texas, near Dallas, Paul Fleming. Those are the 5 finalists today. Welcome, everyone. Dave Ryan, Randy Peterson, our entire ESPN PBA crew with you. Randy, let's look at the brackets, starting with a matchup of heavy hitters in the wild card.
Dave, Chris Barnes and Pete Weber, 2 of the biggest stars on our tour, each seek their first title of the season today. One will advance to the semis to bowl Paul Fleming. The second semifinal match features 2 lefties. The first time all year we've had 2 southpaws on one TV show.
It's the wild card match. 2 of the PBA's biggest stars on center stage to begin our telecast today from Dallas. Chris Barnes, originally from Topeka, Kansas, has lived in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, though, for the last several years. From Flower Mound, near Dallas. And a good start for Barnes. Looking for his first title of the season. He's been Mr. Runner-Up all year.
And a rematch of their match last night that went 5 games. Pete Weber coming out on top. Chris Barnes actually needed the 2nd strike in the 10th frame of the 5th game to beat Pete Weber, win the match, and get his roommate Brian Smith to the telecast.
It was incredibly dramatic last night here in Dallas. Pete's got the sunglasses again. 10-pin for him. Open for a late messenger, but not in time.
Well, that was a lot better shot than last week.
Well, last week the lane conditions were pretty tough. Pete went the distance this week, bowled every possible game.
10-pin for his mark.
All right.
By the numbers, Randy, comparing Weber and Barnes head-to-head.
As you can see, their averages are deadlocked. A little bit higher strike percentage for Chris Barnes. A couple of missed spares for Petey. The target this week looked much bigger because the lane conditions weren't near as tough as last week. These guys got a lot of practice in, a lot of games bowling in a very tough condition. Their skills are sharp.
Gets a good break. Late trip of the 10-pin.
This ball is going to drift a pinch high, bowling on brand new via pins today. And watch the good pin carry. Trips the 4-7-10 out late. When the pins are new, the bottoms are flatter. They haven't been used. They don't fall as easy.
Back to Barnes. Oh! Looked a little high. He'll take the break. A double for him and a 10-pin lead on Pete Weber. It's not been a problem for Barnes getting to the championship match, just winning it this year.
And this is a similar hit that Pete just carried on the left lane. These via pins are the best pins I've ever bowled on in terms of action, and pin carry.
Trying to get a perfect mark head-to-head with Pete Weber on TV. Didn't like it off his hand through the nose.
You are correct, Dave Ryan. That ball was left all the way. And when a player lets go of it, we can feel immediately if it's good or bad, and he knew it right away. That ball was left. See the round of 8 where he lost to Petey.
Came down to the last ball. You see the spare conversion rate, a chop, and an open frame for Barnes.
When you look at Chris Barnes' statistics this year, that's the only weakness that you'll find. Every now and then he has troubles with a little trouble with spares.
Come on. So double to start for Barnes. Then the open. Back to Pete. 7-pin, can't get it. Since we started the new format, there's not been a number 1 seed to go the distance and win. This could be the first with Pete. Covers his mark. And his wife Tracy, as usual, right by his side. What sense she get? She's not one of those family members who will just be clapping joyfully behind her husband. She really gets into it.
And I think it's tough
to get him pumped up.
Excuse me, Dave. I think it's harder on them than it is on us.
Looks a tad high, but still. All right for Pete, 10 down.
This ball perfect in the 1-3 pocket. Like a vortex, just sucks all 10 pins off the deck.
Back to Barnes, coming off the open. That's flush. Best ball of the day for Chris Barnes.
Great stats with the one area we talked about earlier, spare conversion. Through 4 frames, the only glitch, 3 strikes in the open frame in the 3rd, and he only trails by 4 pins. Can take a 6-pin lead with a strike here.
5th frame, Chris Barnes, 10-pin for him. A chance to commute from home this week. Just about a 19-mile drive. And a chance to be with the twins as well. Ryan Phillip, Troy Christopher, his wife Linda. Linda is here, the twins, home with a sitter. Because at that age, who knows what's going to happen. Stays perfect on the single pin with the 2 pins up earlier in the 3rd frame when he chopped and left the open. Linda probably glad to have a couple hour or 2 from the youngsters. Right next to Tracy. Looking for a double. Great ball from Pete Weber.
And we talked a little bit about this last week, but this is what I think one of the factors that makes Pete so good. Look at the open hand, no grabbing at the bottom, and look at the result. Dead flush perfect. Pete playing a little bit further right today than he's played all week.
Chance here for a triple. 6 frame, 24-pin lead, leaves the 4-pin.
That looked like a good shot off his hand, but it also looked to me like he hit it a little bit more. And when Pete Weber is going to hit it a little bit more at the bottom, the ball is going to change direction harder down the lane. He knew it was close.
Covers with a 4. Great story this week. Pete Weber, after a very tough start to his week, almost left Dallas to go on to the next tour stop, but decided on a little equipment change, and it worked out well for him. He's in the show, head-to-head with Chris Barnes, trying to win his first title of this PBA season. We're just moments away from DFW, Dallas-Fort Worth Airport, and 2 of the PDW fan club members are here from Oregon. They've made the long trip to watch one of the big stars of the PBA Tour, Pete Weber, in action. Parker Bohn returns. Chris Barnes is here. Really a star-studded field, Randy, this week.
Yeah, it really is. You couldn't script it any better. All the stars that we have, and an up-and-comer. In my opinion, he's going to be a great player on our tour, Paul Fleming.
All right, we go now to the lane pattern at C, which for some has been,
well, for some, confusing. Yeah. Pattern C lent itself to multiple angles. You see Pete Weber playing the outside line. When the lanes got a little bit drier, guys would play around the second arrow. Last night, Chris Barnes was way in throwing the big hook ball. You could get to the pocket, but the trick this week was figuring out how to make your ball strike once it got there.
For more on the oil pattern, this every week on the PBA Tour, leading up to the World Championship, Taylor, Michigan, in March. Log on to the PBA website, PBA.com. Best bowling website out there. Live simulcast, play-by-play. The rest of the 8 we played, it was exciting.
The last 2 times on Pattern C was just Grand Rapids, and we had 2 non-winners win. And this week, maybe Paul Fleming.
On lane 46, 3 still up for Barnes.
And that ball there just looked fast. Chris playing in between the second and third arrow, and that ball just looked a little quick out of his hand, leaving the 2-4-5.
Multi-pin conversion rate. Trouble the first time he had the opportunity. Third frame. Chopped one of his 2 pins. Covers here.
Chris Barnes playing a little bit straighter than he did last night. Just outside third arrow. Pete Weber playing about the 6th board. So quite a big difference.
He's
Chris
down
Barnes,
16 pins, right? Sorry.
excuse me, Chris Barnes keeping his hand underneath, keeping it much straighter.
Got some help. As it hurries into the pocket, strikes in the 7th frame. Really an amazing story with Chris Barnes. He was actually upset, Randy, when we spoke to him last night because he felt he'd let down his roommate Brian Smith by not beating Pete Weber in the round of 8. And thus Smith missed the show.
It was kind of like he was bowling in a doubles event. He let his partner down.
Back to Weber. Comes in high. 6-pin count.
Commercial break.
This ball goes high, right through the nose, doesn't leave the split, but in my opinion, he leaves himself the toughest spare on the PBA Tour. Got to get the ball to hook into the spare so that the ball will take out the back pin, the 9-pin. The 6 will go into the 10. Look out.
Cover. Leaves the 10. And an open frame here for Weber.
We saw it last night when Chris Barnes left the 3-6-10. He chopped it. Here's the 3-6-9-10, which makes it even harder because of the back pin. The reason why it's so tough is a lot of weeks, because of the oil pattern, if you get the ball too far to the right, it doesn't hook back and get into the 3-9. You miss a little bit left like Pete just did. It overhooks, and you end up chopping it.
Lane 45. Again, missing the pocket where he wants that ball. That's a 4-pin up. Pete told us last night he just feels fried after Las Vegas. Right into last week, he's just been tired. It's exhausting being Pete Weber. The pressure, first of all, trying to make the show and win.
Commercial breaks get me every time.
Not happy with the TV timeout. Barnes working on a strike to the 8th frame for him. Strike here. He's up 9 pins. Exhaustion and frustration for Weber. Lots of frustration for Barnes in not winning a title. Gets a break there. The top 8 make the round of 16, skip qualifying at the season-ending PBA World Championship in suburban Detroit. That's where all 5 are heading in. And the point break out 25,000. We're back to the regular tour stop. 50,000 points for the majors in 2 of the past 3 weeks in Reno and L.A. Watching with ESPN in sync to Barnes. 10-pin, no help.
And Chris Barnes has changed the way he's throwing the ball from the start of the game, where his hand was underneath and he was going really, really straight. Now he's got his hand going around the side of the ball. Stop it right there, guys. Now, see where his hand is now. It's underneath, but he starts, go ahead and roll. He starts with his hand on the side to get his hand to rotate around the side of it. What that does, Dave, is it gets the ball to push a little bit further right, but because it goes a little bit further right, it has to make up that ground. That's why you get your hand to go around the side of it. Give you more angle in the back end.
How about Pete's complaint with a commercial timeout? Difficult for you when you're on TV to take that break?
Come on now.
You know what? I think it depends on the kind of rhythm you're in. You know, you never try to let anything else factor into the equation. You know, it's just a commercial break. It's part of the show,
right.
and you just deal with it.
And he certainly has had plenty of TV experience in his incredible career. Been here over and over again. Again high, and a difficult spare to pick up for Pete. This is 99th career TV show. Second of the season.
Right through the nose, leaving the 3-4-6. Kind of an unusual split. We don't see this a whole lot, but when the ball's coming into the pocket at that angle, you're going to leave it. Now, kind of like the 3-6-9-10. Get it over here to the right side of the 3-pin and drive the 3 into the 4. The ball will take care of the 6.
Just gets one of the 3, flirting with the channel so far to the right.
And you see what I said earlier was you get that ball a little bit further to the right and it hangs. A little bit to the left, it overhooks. Situation here is simple. Pete Weber strikes out, he shoots 189. Chris Barnes needs decent count in the mark to advance.
We'll put him in the semifinals. Flush strike there for Weber. But the frustration continues with him.
What happened? I mean, I was laying so tight before, and now it's like hooking off my hand. Perfect.
Basically, the translation there is the lane condition, the oil pattern is breaking down rapidly.
Oh, no! Across the deck on the 10-pin.
The flying messenger. Here comes the head pin. Caves the 10 in. Via pins, man, they fly. They are lively. Now, strike here, very important because he strikes here at 189. Chris Barnes would need 9 on the first ball to win.
Perfect shot.
The lane was a lot tighter before I, Jesus Christ, what is that?
Certainly a great finish. Perhaps too little too late for Pete Weber.
Last night,
That is so stupid.
situation, Chris Barnes, 2 strikes. He's not the wild card. He gets in. He wins his match against Pete. His roommate's in. He goes right through the nose, 4, 6, 7. Right now he needs 9 pins on the first ball, and he's a winner.
Tells us he loves the pressure on his own shoulders. Here it is again for him. There's 9.
Wow, and that was marginal 9 at best. That could have been a 2-8-10 real easy.
He'll take on Paul Fleming, another Texan in the semifinals. And Pete Weber's run ends in the wild card match.
And you could tell just by looking at his follow through there that he missed that ball at the bottom, got away with it.
6-3-7-1. That's really intelligent.
Pete referring to his 7th and 9th frame, both opens.
Let's see, let's try this.
Pete is going to take some time off. He won't bowl any sort of pro-am. No practice in Orlando coming up this week. He's going to stay with Norm Duke at Norm's house in Florida near Orlando, about 45 minutes outside our next PBA Tour stop. And he plans to golf for a couple days and relax. He'll have some time now to think because he's been knocked out. Next up, Hugh Miller, the left-hander, against last year's MVP, Parker Bohn III. First show for him this year.
Hi, I'm out.
The 1986 Quaker State Open in Grand Prairie, Texas, the site of one of the PBA's biggest upsets ever. Rookie John O'Drobnik beat 3 future Hall of Famers, starting with Wayne Webb. Marshall Holman was up next, and O'Drobnik came up big for a 3-pin victory. In the final, the rookie took care of Mark Roth to win his only career PBA title. We are back at Don Carter's All-Star Lanes. Just outside downtown Dallas, Texas, Parker Bohn III, your first TV show of the year. And you told us last night, a lot of fans have asked you, Parker, where have you been? Is that the single most frustrating aspect of not making a show until now?
It really is. You know, everybody keeps asking where have I been, and I keep telling them, I'm there. I'm working my way up to the top, but unfortunately, I've been a little short in the past couple weeks.
First time all year, Parker, we have two left-handers, you and Hugh Miller. How will that affect your approach to the pocket today?
Well, I think we can expect the lane to go through some transition and break down, and I'm going to try to move accordingly, stay on top of it, and hopefully make great shots along the way.
All right, thanks so much. Good luck.
Thanks, Dave.
Randy Peterson, two southpaws head-to-head here in the semis.
And going off of the first game scores, 201-189, if the left-handers have a good look, they could be very tough to beat today. One thing's for sure, both Parker Bohn III and Hugh Miller on the TV pair this week swept both of their matches. And a nice start for Parker Bohn III. One thing about a guy that's won 29 times, you never forget what it's like and what you need to do when you get to the TV show.
46-year-old Hugh Miller is his opponent. The other lefty today. Little double wood for him from the left side. The 3-8 says he's very proud at his age to be making this sort of run after so many years off the tour for Hugh on a 10-year absence. Didn't bowl on a consistent basis. Tried a career in real estate. Enjoys this career much more. That's paid off. He's bowled very well. Leaves the 9. And open early for Hugh.
And not the kind of start you would want or expect from Hugh Miller. Again, we see similar numbers here. And something that's very unusual, look at the low spare percentage for Parker Bohn III. Very unlike Parker. But he had the higher strike percentage and obviously helped him on the way here. Hugh Miller can become the lowest seed to win a title in the new format.
The pocket he wanted on lane 45. We almost had this week the highest ever seed, Pete Weber at number 1. To go wire to wire from match play after qualifying all the way to the championship. But he loses to Barnes today in the wild card.
And the one thing you're going to see throughout this match is, yes, they're both left-handed, but Parker hooks it more than Hugh Miller. Parker's going to be further right. Hugh Miller's going to be further left.
Who's that guy on the bottom of the screen?
I didn't see that.
4 up still for Parker, trying to go undefeated. Yes, Randy Peterson in Philadelphia.
Parker comes in light. And whether you're left-handed or right-handed, this cluster here is called the bucket. It's one of the things that Parker struggled with all year. He's a thrower. He likes to throw hard. And he's had problems getting his ball to hook.
He leaves a pin. Another open. We've seen plenty of those. Not great bowling in either match yet. Randy, what's the story?
Well, again, the guys bowled the U.S. Open last week on a grind, and it was really difficult in a lot of games in a major tournament. Now this week it was a little bit easier to get to the pocket, but I think they're so worn out from last week. Parker made the finals last week. Pete Weber made the show last week. These guys are tired.
That's the ball he wanted.
And again, remember, we saw the graphic, Parker Bohn's very low spare percentage this week. This is a microcosm of the shot he threw in the first frame. And see, this ball grabs a lane in the back end and changes direction. The ball in the right lane did not.
Fifth in Medford on the TV show. Last time he got that far. His match wins this week include the victory in 3 straight over a very frustrated Brian Smith. As he comes in way high, right through the nose, and the big 4.
Well, he goes light the first frame, leaves at 3-9. And this only makes sense. You don't want to give it room when you go light. This ball's a little right of target, and he pays the ultimate penalty, the big 4.
So just gets the 4-7, the 6-10 still up, another open frame.
All right.
2 out of the first 3 for Hugh.
You see in Parker's eyes, I mean, Parker looks tired. Last week, long grind. This week, making his first telecast.
Still, Parker has bowled well in terms of his statistics this year. Much better ball and an improvement for Hugh on the left of the TV pair here today in Dallas.
Pretty good shot here from Hugh Miller. Gets the 4-pin to take out the 7.
Parker tied for 17th at the Masters in Reno, 9th in Vegas, 7th at the U.S. Open last week. There's a 3-pin.
You think the players, or these 2 guys, like the left lane? Because that's the only lane they've struck on so far.
On the right lane, though, lane 46 here at Don Carter's All-Star Lanes in Dallas. It's been a total adventure.
This
Doesn't matter, lefty or righty.
This could be our first, and is our first mark on that lane.
A great year last year. Chris Schenkel, Player of the Year. 2nd time in his career he accomplished that. And so far this year, his big finishes in the majors. Top 10, not bad.
Really taking advantage of the double points in the majors, and that's why he's 7th on the point list without a win and without a TV show until today.
Watching by ESPN in sync. It's lane 45. It's got to be a strike.
Hugh Miller, being the higher seed, decided to choose what lane he was going to finish on and chose the left lane. That's the good lane.
Hugh Miller won in Japan. Season opener in September. Different format, though. Oh, wanted some help. 9-pin. And the messenger would not give it to him.
Solid 8 for a right-hander, solid 9 for a left-hander. What happens is this ball's perfect in the 1-2, and the ball gets to the 5-pin and chops it straight back. The 5-pin doesn't do its job and leaves a solid 9.
Hey, it's a mark.
That's true.
He's glad to have that on the right.
And I misspoke earlier when I said that
right there
Hugh Miller was the higher seed and he got to choose which lane he finished on. Parker was the higher seed, chose to finish on the right lane. Very interesting.
Back to Hugh. Left-hander has got his father-in-law with him, Mike Gilligan, who drove down to Medford from the Seattle area. He's been with him every step of the way.
There we go.
On this western swing. That certainly helps.
Just aren't acting
He
the way
could
I
use
want
some
him to.
help on that lane now.
The last time Hugh Miller bowled Parker Bohn III was in Japan at the Dream Bowl. He beat Parker by 100 pins in a 2-game match. It was Hugh's last title.
And that was a TV appearance for Parker, although not on the U.S. side. This is his first domestic television appearance. Hugh Miller with an open early. Some struggles. He's down 15 pins. Parker has an open on his 2nd frame. Who will take charge in the southpaw match? We find out next. Dallas Mavericks owner Mark Cuban hit the lanes this week at the Celebrity Pro-Am. Cuban not only put up respectable scores, but also got some excellent advice from the PBA pros.
Right here. Some things never change. Right like that. Right like that. All right, what target should I look at? Right, I'm going this way. You go to pin. Works every time. My new coach.
Welcome back. Days Inn Open here in Dallas. And from one billionaire who owns real estate to a guy who used to sell real estate, Hugh Miller and our Dexter approach. Hugh Miller, 46 years of age, in great physical shape and still using 16-pound equipment. But he's altered his game. Over the last 5 years, he's changed his approach. Watch the first 2 steps, they go to the right. What that does is that creates room for his swing to swing underneath his shoulder. Now he has to fill in that spot, that 4-step going to the left. Now watch the finish. He fills in the gap, and there the hand and the ball is nice and tight to the ankle to create the best possible leverage at release.
Hugh Miller, the subject of this week's Dexter approach. Told us yesterday it doesn't work out as much as he'd like on the road. It's tough finding those gyms on the road. Some of the hotels don't have the adequate facilities, but when he's home, he runs quite a bit and is really into the exercise regimen.
Big-time runner for years.
Back to Parker. Someone trying to rally here. There's a 7-pin.
Well, and the good news is the last 2 balls from Parker and Hugh Miller found the pocket on the right lane. The bad news, neither one of them struck.
Bottom of your screen, round of 16. Show you how some of the other PBA pros fared this week in Dallas. Match play records, those who did not make it. And there's Walter Ray Williams Jr., who's looking for a 10th show and another championship. Won the U.S. Open last week, but knocked out earlier this week.
Did clinch a spot in the top 8 for the World Championship, so now he can take Paige to Hawaii and relax for a couple weeks.
Not one to relax during the season. As focused as they come, Walter Ray is. Again, not the exact hit Parker Bohn III is looking for.
Well, obviously the lanes are going through transition. As you take a look, freeze it right there. Look at this beautiful form. Remember we talked about it a couple weeks ago about the parallel arm swing, and watch the finish. That's probably one of the best things Parker's done throughout his career is finish the shot. Staying on balance and posing until the ball hits the pins.
Plenty of power on that spare ball. Parker does not have the companionship of wife Leslie. Normally with Parker on every tour stop. She's back home on the East Coast. Very pregnant at the moment. Early April is her due date. And since she's so late in the pregnancy, decided it was probably best to stay home this week, not get in a plane, be uncomfortable. And back to Hugh, and again, more struggles.
Yeah, they miss a little bit to the left. The ball's light. They miss a little bit to the right. It goes high.
Pick it up and out loud. Still in the game.
Change release, change hand position, speed, something, but you got to get the ball to finish a little bit different down the lane. Hugh Miller likes to go up the back and likes to go straight. However, he is a little versatile. He can do a little bit of everything.
There we go.
Covers there. 8 o'clock Eastern tonight on ESPN. High again. 2 and the 4 up.
Again, the players are just confused and not really sure what the ball is going to do when it leaves their hand. This ball goes high. Fortunate not to leave a split. Only 2 strikes for Hugh Miller. Only 3 strikes for Parker Bohn III, and he missed the spare.
Goodness. Another chop. Another open. We have seen as many opens in the first 2 matches as we've probably seen all year combined on any show. We're not close to the finish of today's action. Players are struggling. Seven for Parker.
Well, keeping the ball in play, getting it to the pocket, not striking. And I'm a little surprised at the reaction that these 2 guys have, because they had 30 minutes of practice. They could have burnt up a spot to help create a little bit more angle to the pocket, or a little bit more room for error, and they're struggling. And the reason why they're struggling is because the lanes have broken down to where it's becoming very difficult for them to get to the pocket.
Break down the left and the right. Left's certainly much more effective. That's for Parker. Big trouble for Hugh, though. 3 open frames. looking for some help. Trip out the 4 and 7. The CEO of Schumacher and Company, Joe Schumacher, is here. Among the many people doing a great job putting this event on in Dallas.
And right now, the right-handers, Paul Fleming and Chris Barnes, have to be licking their chops at what they're seeing here.
So we asked Parker about lefty against lefty. How's it played out based on what he said? He wasn't sure how the effects would make things work out today.
Well, you know, remember he said last night that he would rather it would be just him bowling, not another left-hander. You know, the amazing thing is, though, they're both playing two different parts of the lane, and they have the exact same reaction.
On TV in the past, one title match combined for Parker. Working on a 192 max, 177, the high score for Hugh possible.
There's just a dead-ass hooking spot right there. And I hit it. Well, now I know it's there. Maybe that'll help me a lot.
The problem is, Huey, it won't help you because that's your last shot on that lane. You got the 9th and 10th. It's your last strike ball on the right lane. And, you know, these guys obviously don't do this to get to this point, and they're just completely baffled.
He'll take a mark any way he can get it at this point in the match. His max score dips to 167 with a mark in the 9th. Foundation frame down 25 pins as he works on a spare. You telling us last night very proud of his accomplishments getting this far.
There's a good shot.
At his age on the tour.
Thanks.
He's won this year and certainly legitimized the career change.
He's feeling good about it. Right now, with 2 more strikes, Hugh Miller will make Parker Bohn III show up in the 10th frame.
Two good shots in a row.
Get some late help on the deck.
2 good shots in a row. 2 good results.
I had to throw the only one can win ball this shot.
That would be the swish zone, the light mixer. Hey, look at him begging. I do a lot of that every week.
Thinking of an equipment change to our PBA only one can win logo ball.
I don't really give a damn at this point.
Frustrating to say the least for Hugh.
Next week.
Well, you know,
What a place for your
don't
worst
go anywhere
game.
yet. Parker still needs 8 pins to win. Goes through the nose and leaves a Greek church, and we've got a ball game.
And this is the trouble lane. Anything can happen. Not here.
The first strike in the match on the right lane.
Can you tell me how to pick up a friggin' spare? I used to be good at spares, but... Oh, well.
We'll both go back and get some lessons.
Pretty good there, especially for the wheat when Parker needed it.
He'll gladly take an appearance in the championship match. He's knocked off Hugh Miller, the fellow lefty. And now Parker Bohn III, his first domestic TV show with a chance for his first tour title of this PBA season.
The match in hand, Parker went to get another bowling ball to try to find a little bit better look than he had throughout the game. Looked like he moved deeper, and not the result he was looking for.
Neither particularly proud of the effort with all the open frames, but Parker Bohn III will gladly take a victory over Hugh Miller, and he advances off to the final here in Dallas, Texas today. Beautiful look at the SMU campus, about 15 minutes from here. Paul Fleming, who's in Bedford, Texas, about 20 minutes or so from where we are. He's the subject of the Miller High Life. Get to know them.
Paul Fleming at age 6. He and my brother bowled. I started bowling then, and then we played baseball in the summertime and bowled in the wintertime. Did that all the way up until into high school. And then during high school, I kind of bowled year-round. Into my senior year, I kind of figured out with my size, baseball wasn't going to work. so I chose bowling because it doesn't matter what size you are. Then into my college, I made Team USA in '92, was national amateur champion that year also. But my wife, Andrea, we've been married now since '94, so it's eight years. Have a little girl. The toughest part is being on the road and them not being with me. My favorite food is pork sauerkraut and dumplings. That's something my mom makes. Being a regular on TV. That's probably one of the biggest goals, and getting a couple wins underneath my belt and going from there.
Paul Fleming, subject to this week's Miller High Life. Get to know them, looking for his first ever PBA victory. This is second show. He said a moment ago he has a goal to be a regular on TV. Made it much earlier in this PBA season in Kansas City. The quest for his first title continues here today in Dallas. Paul Fleming head-to-head with Chris Barnes, also in search of title number 1 on the season. Bob Benoit made his first TV appearance at the Quaker State Open in 1988, and it would be memorable. He would roll the 5th televised 300 game in PBA history, the first and the title match, as he defeated Mark Roth 300 to 255. In the process, he earned a $100,000 bonus for his title match perfecto. Perfection seems a long way off today here in Dallas with the struggles the players have had on the TV pair. Perhaps that changes with a couple of right-handers coming up. One of 25 Texans who have competed in Dallas this week, originally from Kansas, now here in Texas. It's Chris Barnes with Randy.
Wow. I thought the lanes were tough last week at the U.S. Open. What is going on out there? You've got the highest game right now in the clubhouse at 201. What's happening?
Well, all week we had a lot of transition between games 1 and 2. I bowled a lot of great first games, but not very many good second ones. We had 15 minutes of practice during the week. We had 30 today. We pretty much all had game 2 reaction right off the bat.
What are you going to do different in this match?
I'm going to move left. I'm going to get the ball to pick up sooner and find a ball that wants to read the end of the pattern a little bit. I think the scores will go up from here.
Okay, great. Thanks, Chris. Dave Ryan, Chris Barnes looking for career title number 4.
4 seems to be a common number with Chris Barnes. 4 runner-up finishes this year and 9 for his career. And we asked him last night about not winning a championship this season yet. And he said, winning isn't everything, actually. I want to make the top 8, the World Championship, and still plenty of time to make some noise. But still, it's got to be bothering him. 4-pin.
He's going to make a little bit of a move off of that and move a little bit to the left. I watched Paul Fleming in practice. He looked like he was going to play the line Pete Weber was playing.
Picks up his mark early. Barnes is the wild card, has upped the record of that position in our format. For the events we've had this format to 14 and 15. Now it's back to Fleming. We haven't seen him since early in the season. In Kansas City, the event won by Patrick Healy Jr. That had to really hurry and came in light, missing the pocket. Right.
Finished 3rd on the same pattern. Kansas City, pattern C. Right now, C stands for confusing.
So many open frames today, and the trend of struggling continues for the bowlers in this match. By the numbers, Randy, Barnes head-to-head with Fleming.
And again, pattern C, look what the guys averaged this week. 222 for Chris, 224 for Paul Fleming. Very high spare conversion rate, which confuses me why Paul just missed that spare. But the guys certainly aren't averaging that today. And I think the reason why is because 5 players on 1 pair, breaking the lane condition down. And you see the big move in on that shot by Paul Fleming.
Perfect ball in the pocket for Fleming.
This is what he's looking for. And this is a similar line that he played last night. A deep inside line, about 15th, 16th, 17th board.
Returning to Chris Barnes. Flush in the pocket, 10 down in the pit for him. Perfect ball. Coming to us from Flower Mound, Texas. Not far at all from the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, right in the middle of this area. 12-pin lead. See, Fleming's open could be a big problem, but if you're going to have the open frame, make it early in the match.
That's right. You've learned that hanging out with me over the last 15 or 16 weeks.
Learn a thing or two about the sport. Difficult split.
Necessary.
You know, he leaves a 4-pin the first frame. You'd think he'd make a little bit of an adjustment. He probably did. And watch this ball bite. 4-9. Got to get the ball to the left side of the 4-pin, slide it into the 9.
And ends up missing both. So he returns the favor with an open frame. I'm not sure if we're keeping stats, Randy, on open frames and TV shows. There you go. 8 in all. We saw more struggles from Barnes a moment ago. Can Fleming answer on lane 46? 10-pin for him.
Well, got the ball to the pocket. That's the good news. Leaving the ringing 10 is the bad news. Paul's bowled a lot in this building. When I talked to him last night, he said the key is figuring out how to get the ball to the end of the pocket the right way to carry, which for the rest of us this week, like myself, who got eliminated 4-0 in the round of 32, I couldn't figure out how to get my ball straight.
Continues the perfect single spare conversion rate, single pin conversion. Getting here from the best of 7 round of 32. First over Mika Koivuniemi of Finland, who made the TV show last week in LA, trying to defend his US Open title.
You're good with those Finnish names.
A lot of hockey practice.
Yes, man.
Come on, ball, get there.
Tucks it into the pocket.
Got a good look on the left lane. Just the one bad shot in the first frame. Last shot on the right lane was good. Chris Barnes, all 3 shots in the pocket. Only 1 strike. Trails by 2.
4th frame for Barnes. Perfect ball. Proper adjustments being made now by H.
And Chris Barnes, to me, looks like he's much more aggressive in this match than he was in the first match, which tells me that he's got a little bit better feel for what his ball's going to do when it leaves his hand.
This includes a wild card match with Pete Weber. Lane comparison for Barnes.
Likes the right lane.
Would like to have a championship. Yes! 10 in the pitch, shreds the rack. That was a perfect ball from Barnes.
Now it starts.
Next week, we are going to Orlando for the BA Bowling Open at 12:30 Eastern Time. Regular tour stop as we continue our march to the World Championship at the Taylor Sportsplex, Taylor, Michigan, outside Detroit. We're winding down as we go to the Eastern Time Zone, not far from your hometown near Miami, right?
Not too far from my digs.
Nice shot from Fleming. Coming to you from Don Carter's All-Star Lanes in Dallas, Texas. They have Ryan, Randy Peterson, our entire ESPN PBA crew. Live coverage continuing. 3 majors on our tour season in the books. 1 left, the World Championship in March. $40,000 on the line to the winner and crucial tour points. Barnes trying for his first win of the year. Fleming, his first ever victory on tour, on the line for him today. Looking for a triple. 6th frame and a 12-pin lead. Got it. Proper adjustments again from each. Starting to catch fire. 5 consecutive strikes between Fleming and Barnes. 37th year, Dallas, Texas has hosted a PBA event. We're back at Don Carter's All-Star Lanes West. Check in with this week's Days Inn on the road. We're going to Boardwalk Bowl in Orlando, Central FLA next week to get warm and to get back to the Eastern time zone for all the bowlers. A lot glad to be there as we swing toward Detroit. After that, Burlington, North Carolina, where Pete Weber won last year. And then Louisville, Kentucky, the Odor Ears Open, all leading to the PBA World Championship with so much on the line. Tour points and big money as well. Dino Pilata, Vice President of Operations, and Pat Campbell, Director of Marketing from Days Inn are here. And we thank them for their wonderful support of this event. Five consecutive strikes we told you about. Barnes now looking for a triple. Strike here, he's down by 2.
See his hand on the side. He's going to create some side roll, get the ball to return down the lane.
Oh, gets some help as well on the 8.
That 8-pin had no business standing up because that ball was perfect in the 1-3. Watch this hand and this release at the bottom of the swing. And look at how big those eyes get when it leaves your hand. You know it's perfect, almost a solid 8.
Not seen him on TV since Albany, where he lost to Doug Kent in the finals. 4 shows, 4 final appearances. Also lost to you in Philadelphia.
By the way, happy birthday, Doug Kent.
That's right. Takes the lead with a 4-bagger. That in the 7th frame. Parker Bohn's roommate, Doug Kent.
You think this guy wants to win again? Big-time players rise to the occasion, and Chris Barnes is doing what he has to do to get the ball to the 1-3 pocket.
Now Fleming looking for a 4-bagger. Strike here, he's up 2. Come on, ball. Talks it right into the pocket. 60 feet to success for Fleming and Andrea Fleming. Paul's wife very pleased to see that. They're very close by in the Dallas area. Young daughter Caitlin has been running around the center the last couple days. Been fun to watch her. She's here today.
She's so cute.
Is she ever? Now they're catching fire, Randy. What kind of adjustments are they making?
Well, I think they figured out what the lanes are doing. The lanes have settled down somewhat now. They made the adjustments, and they moved further towards the center part of the lane.
For a 5-bagger. Got it. And a 12-pin lead in the 8th for Fleming.
In a great match last night that went 5 games against Rick Steelsmith, we saw Paul Fleming do a lot of this. That ball was perfect. First win at home in front of friends and family would be quite an accomplishment for Paul Fleming. But right now, he's got this guy to worry about.
Seeking a 5-bagger. Bullseye. Down 2 pins. Game on, says Chris Barnes. Each with a 5-bagger. Out of the foundation frame, strike here, and an 8-pin lead for Barnes. Robert Smith, Dave DeAntremont. Some of the bowlers that have knocked him up. Doug Kent and our Randy Peterson making the final, but not winning. Can he change his luck today? Yes! He's on his way.
Well, no matter what Chris Barnes does, he can't shut out Paul Fleming, but watch this. Freeze it right there, guys. That fully cupped wrist at the top. Now go ahead and roll. Look at this posture at the bottom. And watch this reaction. This guy's got some fire in that belly.
Lots of desire to win. Has to bother the guy that he's come so close so many times in one tour season and not won.
Well, he got a little balk. Last night against Rick Steelsmith, Paul Fleming needed to strike out in the 10th frame to force Rick Steelsmith to strike out. Rick would have won by 1 pin. It took Paul 1 minute and 53 seconds to throw that first shot in the 10th frame, and it wasn't very good. He went Brooklyn. No shot clock violation during the matches last night or throughout the tournament, only on television.
Seeking a six-bagger. The big four.
That sucked.
Something bothered him on his first shot. He had to regroup, reset, and he came back with this, and this is disaster. He's all but handed it to Chris Barnes in the 9th frame.
Just about covered across the deck, trying to get the 6 and 10 pins.
Well, this is about as close as you're going to come to making the big four without making it. And what a great effort. Now, 3 strikes in the 10th frame. He shoots 222. Chris Barnes needs to mark in the 10th to win.
5 top 10s this year, but no championships this season or any other for Fleming so far. That comes in way high.
That's right out of my hand.
Big trouble, especially with the open frame in the 9th.
3-6-10, and Chris Barnes is going to face Parker Bohn III for the Days Inn title.
Neither has won this year on tour. Another open.
That's too bad. He bowled so well all week. Threw 5 in a row. Looked like he was wired in. And then the shot in the 9th. And now, right now, Parker Bohn is trying to figure out how in the world he's going to shoot 220, 230, or 240, because I think that's what it's going to take to beat Chris Barnes.
Chris Barnes playing in 3 matches after being the wild card. Will advance to take on Parker Bohn III. Is it an advantage with the crazy lane conditions to have more action out there?
I think it's an advantage that Chris Barnes is going to go straight into the title match without waiting. He just got done shooting 230. With a strike, it's going to be 235. He goes right into the title match. Parker's been waiting and thinking about it, trying to design a plan to help him pull a big game.
Not only is Parker Bohn III making his first domestic TV show of the year, he's in the championship match. Fleming gives way to Barnes, 234-201. Now it's championship time. First, time to celebrate with Chris's wife. Grand Prairie, Texas in 1993, the site of an epic Quaker State Open. Steve Hoskins left the door open for Ron Williams to beat him in the 10th. Williams had the opportunity, but he left 3 pins. And Hoskins won the first of his back-to-back titles in Texas. Steve Hoskins, a champion here. Dave Ryan, Randy Peterson, our entire ESPN PBA crew. C is for confusing with this lane pattern. A lot of open frames, but Chris Barnes appears on a big roll. And as you made a great point, he plays in the semifinal match with Fleming and back-to-back, right head-to-head with Parker Bohn III now.
Yeah, I think the big question mark is Parker Bohn III. I asked him right after his match with Hugh Miller, what are you going to do? He said, I'm going to go to a stronger ball, something with surface, and I'm going to fire it. We got to just wait and see if that works.
Power players head-to-head. Time now for the Geico Direct Championship recap, Randy.
In the wild card match, Chris Barnes against PDW. Watch this shot here. Slaughter. He takes care of Pete by the score of 201-189. And in semifinal number 1, the Southpaws. The first time all year, 2 lefties taking one another on. Parker Bohn III defeating Hugh Miller. And in the match you just saw, Chris Barnes with a 5-bagger takes care of Paul Fleming, 234-201, setting up the title match. Chris Barnes, Parker Bohn III.
So it's lefty against righty. The great Parker Bohn III looking for his first title of the season. Same goes for Chris Barnes. They are the head-to-head records for Barnes and Parker Bohn III, who returns to TV finally after a long wait. Can Chris Barnes end his long wait and win his first tour title of the season? We find out next. The folks here in Dallas are hoping Parker Bohn III can get back in the winner's circle. He's one match shy. Next is Chris Barnes. Parker, some trouble certainly with the lanes today after your match with Hugh Miller, another left-hander. What adjustments do you make for the championship with Chris Barnes?
Well, I'm going to go to a ball with a little bit more surface, try to firm up, keep it a little bit more direct, and, well, hopefully he gets to the 1-2 pocket and knocks them all over.
Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
All right, Chris, you said a moment ago the wild card match maybe helped you figure out the tough conditions. Do you feel like you've got everything figured out now for the championship match?
Well, I was really fortunate that first match, and obviously my bar action got a lot better that last match. So if I make enough good shots today, we'll make it interesting today.
You're from Kansas originally, but now from Texas. How special a win here in front of the home folks?
It's great to win in front of your friends and family.
All right, he's ready to go, Randy. Championship match.
Well, Chris Barnes looking to get off the schneid. 9 second-place finishes in his career, but he's going to have to beat bad Parker Bohn. Bad to the bone. Barnes on TV this season in the title match, 0-4, 203 average. That shot looks slow, and when the ball speed is slow with that kind of rev rate on a tough lane pattern, the ball's not going to hold pocket. It's going to go high every time. Remember in the wild card match, he chopped this very same spare.
Not that time.
But not that time.
Has the answer for you.
Yes, he does.
And for everyone else as he covers. So perhaps the extra advantage of playing the wild card match and conquering the very difficult lane conditions.
He got practice prior to this match. This shot will tell it all.
Slides high.
Big back end there, and that ball goes high and leaves the equivalent of the spare that Chris Barnes just shot, but only for a left-hander. The 2-4. I have problems doing the left-handed spares because I'm so used to doing right-handed numbers. Look out.
Chops and does not cover. Another open. We've had so many open frames.
And just real hard to believe that Parker's spare conversion is that low. He missed a spare in his first match. He misses relatively easy spare of the 2-4. We've got 12 open frames this week, or this year versus last year's TV show here of only 7. A little bit lower average for Parker Bohn III, but he won matches, undefeated to this point, and one went away from tying my record.
That's right. Perfect match play.
12-0.
12-0. You did that at the Pepsi Open and defeated Chris Barnes.
Yes.
In the championship match. Compare, contrast. MVP Chris Schenkel Award winner from last year, Parker Bohn III. This year struggling to hit the 50,000 mark in winnings to this point. That, of course, changes now that he's in the championship match.
The nice part about the new PBA, though, is you can have a year like Parker's having and still put some coins in your pocket. In years past, you had the kind of year Parker was having, be real hungry.
In the pocket for Barnes.
But right now, to me, it looks like Chris is right in between two releases. Kind of a combination of roll and side turn. When he first started the wild card match, looked like he was just straight rolling it. Towards the end of that match, looked like he was really getting around the side of it. Now he looks like he's right in between. He looks like he's really figured out the pattern. Now, high on this lane the last shot. Let's see what kind of adjustment is made.
Looks for a double and a 21-pin lead, third frame. 10 down. Chris Barnes, a double. The money leaders in fourth at the moment. Of course, the leaders, Walter Ray Williams Jr., did not make our show. It's so unusual not to have him here on Sunday. On the line, 40,000 for the winner. So we saw Parker's 45,000 plus for this year. He's guaranteed at least 20,000 more. He'd like the entire 40. On lane 46, gets them all down.
Well, this guy's not going to go down without a fight. That first ball went high. Now watch this. He's coming with the heat now to control the back end, and these pins just get slapped silly.
Looks for a double. He's down by 11. Only 3 others have won 30.
You know who they are? Earl Anthony,
Mark Roth, and Walter Ray Williams Jr.
There you go.
Leaves a 6. Watching by ESPN in sync.
One year at the ABC Masters, they had a stub lane, and they were testing accuracy. Parker Bohn was the most accurate player they tested that week. This guy can make shots, and right now he's going to have to get the ball to the 1-2 pocket.
Covers there. Spare the 4th frame for Parker Bohn III, bidding for his first title this season. Barnes has the same exact goal. Who emerges as the winner in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex? We find out next. 2 bowlers left. Parker Bohn III and Chris Barnes have a goal of winning that trophy. Another trophy on the line. Next week, 12:30 Eastern Time here on ESPN. PBA Bowling Tour continues the march to the World Championship in suburban Detroit or in Orlando. The Via Bowling Open. 12:30 start time again, Eastern on ESPN. For more, log on to ESPN.com. There have been wild card champions, starting with Dave D'Entremont, Double D in Wichita, defeating Chris Barnes in the championship match. It's happened a lot to Chris Barnes this year, who says he's not overwhelmed by frustration with that statistic. Appears more focused than ever.
Whoops.
Whoa.
Somebody moved down there. I don't.
You know what's coming. First one.
It is a shot clock violation. His first one today, so that's $100. First one this game. The next one costs him $500. Look at it.
Yes! Yes! Shreds the rack. Perfect ball for Barnes. So the extra thought paid off.
Well, let's see. This is the wild card match, and this is where Chris Barnes was playing against Pete Weber. Right around in between the 3rd and 4th arrow, to me it looks like a little bit different rotation. The wild card match, he was more around the side of it, which made the ball go further to the right. Now he's rolling it more.
Now in search of a 4-bagger. 5th frame and a 41-pin lead. Big advantage over Parker Bohn. That's coming in high, though, and a split. Wow.
And wow is right. He didn't expect this. This looks pretty good, and watch the ball just dig in. And pays the ultimate penalty, 4-6-7.
Ball leaves the 6. So an open, after bolting out to a huge lead, potentially a 41-pin advantage had he struck there in the 5th. And now Parker Bohn III sees the opening and a glimmer of hope. 13 out of 69 frames total on the TV show. Open. Amazing. Last year total on our show, we're told, just 7 open frames. So we've almost doubled the output. It's been frustrating.
Ball comes in just slightly high. Leaves the 6-pin. Parker's looking for the trip 6. Converts the spare. He'll be down 17.
As we talked to Parker earlier in the broadcast, he's so frustrated by not making a show all year on the domestic side. Several fans have come up to him. Where have you been? I tune in on Sundays at ESPN, and we haven't seen you. That really got to him after a while, and he told us last night the big monkey off his back, getting to the show. But he has had a very good year. 7 top 10s. In very good shape to get to the round of 16, skip qualifying at the season-ending World Championship. Talks it into the pocket.
Hey, come on now.
Programming reminder, Winter X games are coming up next here on ESPN. Finish business first, though, here in Dallas, determining a champion.
When you hear a player yell, "Come on, please," after they let go of it, that's not good. And that's how much trouble Parker's having getting the ball to face the 1-2 pocket. Chris Barnes has been perfect on this lane.
How does he respond to the open frame? 6th frame for him. Very well, thank you. Now, we mentioned Parker has not won. He's not been on a USA TV show until this weekend in Dallas. Still 8th in the top 8. Make the round of 16 and skip qualifying at the World Championship. Walter Ray Williams, of course, is the leader. Fleming 20th place. So he's not out of range yet. 25,000 points on the line to the winner. And $40,000. On the left of the TV pair, Barnes, a big strike. Linda Barnes on the left is here. Andrea Fleming watched her husband, Paul, get knocked out. The Twins are being taken care of by a sitter back home in Flower Mound. Chris said it's been quite an adjustment coming home, being home all week in his own bed. Got to take care of the Twins now. That's a big difference from being on tour. It takes a few days to get reacclimated to that hectic life. How does the 9 not go down? Parker can't believe it.
And I think that was probably the shot that was going to tell it all, that what was going to be held in store for Parker Bohn, what his future was going to look like. And he didn't get to the pocket on that ball. Chris Barnes, with the exception of the 5th frame, is not having any trouble.
Covers his double wood. The 3-9. Overcoming a pinch nerve at the start of the season, Parker Bohn III. As Chris Barnes continues to focus. Parker took a couple of weeks, he told us, after that to really get the feel back. And even now, difficulty here and again in stretching, getting loose because of his prior injury this season.
Well, I know that slowed him down early on, and he's been struggling to get that back and get that old feel back.
There. Yeah.
So he got off to a slow start for the year anyway. And then some of the changes that Parker's had to go through because of the ball reaction he's had with the different lane conditions we've been using, he hasn't been able to play his favorite outside line. He's had to play more towards the center part of the lane. And again, another ball coming in light. You know, you do that for 10 years, and you're player of the year every other year, and you win 3 or 4 times a year. That's what he was used to doing, and he did it for so long. And right now he's going through transition, but to his credit and to his talent, again, we talked about where he is on the points. Not having a bad year, but just not a Parker Bohn type of year.
Picks up his mark on the left lane. That in the 8th frame. 207 max now for him.
All right.
And Barnes looking for a triple here. 8th frame. Chance to go up 38 pins and put himself in great position for his first tour win of this season. Just that with a big strike.
When you get a guy with this kind of talent, with a 16-pound bowling ball in his hand, with that kind of power, this is what he can do. Watch these pins. They don't have a chance. And you think that he knows that he's getting close to winning title number 4? More success on the right than the left, but this shot right here will lock up victory number 4 for Chris Barnes.
Foundation frame. Oh, 10 down in the pit.
Yes.
He's done it. 48-pin lead, 4-bagger. Chris Barnes, congratulate wife Linda. He is a champion.
Bet you guys think it's over, don't you?
Parker has some fun with the crowd. Won't matter though, because Barnes has won for a 4th time in his career on tour and finally gets off that distressing trend of runner-up finishes for him this year.
Well, 2nd place is nice, but I guarantee you Parker had no fun today. It was a constant battle just to make a mark, let alone strike. It's just a terrible bar reaction. Chris Barnes making the shots he needs to make.
Was striking. Okay.
Parker will finish up. There, get some help with a 7-pin after the outcome has been determined. A 19-mile commute, door to door, for Chris Barnes this week. Chance to spend a lot of time with his wife Linda and
You know what it
Ryan
is?
Phillip.
It's easy in the 10th.
Troy Christopher, the twin sons, about 10 months old now. This will be his first win since
Hey, Kirk,
victory
can
in
I get a re-rack?
2001 outside Hendersonville, Tennessee, Nashville. Parker having some fun as the paralyzing 5 drops with Kurt Von Kruger, our tournament director, as they wrap it up.
Chris Barnes, Dave Ryan is going to move into the number 2 spot on the road to the World Championships. Number 2 in points. Parker Bohn's going to go to 6th.
Without a tour title, without
a title.
But finally makes a domestic TV show. And as Parker told us last night, final few events, still a chance to make some noise, including the season-ending World Championship outside Detroit. Special moment for Chris Barnes. He'll win just a few minutes from his home here in suburban Dallas. He'll gladly take it. First time since 2001, Chris Barnes a PBA champion again. What a moment for Barnes. Takes the title today in Texas. The happy man of the hour is Chris Barnes from Flower Mound, Texas, a few moments away from a big championship.
Chris Barnes, as you see the twins there with Linda, Ryan on the left, and what's the other little guy's name?
Linda's got Troy. Chris has got Ryan. Congratulations to both the Barnes, all 4 actually, as he wins a big event here today in Dallas. Next Sunday, 12:30 Eastern Time. More coverage from Orlando. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com. Winner X is next. Now for the entire crew, my partner Randy Peterson, it's Dave Ryan saying so long from Dallas. Chris Barnes, a big winner today in Texas.